What if I told you the biggest obstacle standing between you and financial freedom isn't your boss, isn't the economy, isn't even how much money you make, but it's actually how you think about money itself? What if the advice you followed your whole life, get good grades, find a safe job, buy a house, is actually steering you directly into a trap? Most people are running on a hamster wheel, working harder and harder, sinking deeper into debt, feeling stressed about bills, and wondering why they just can't seem to get ahead. Does that sound familiar? Maybe a little too familiar. You see others accumulating wealth, seemingly effortlessly, and you think, what's their secret? Are they just lucky, smarter? Did they inherit it? Well, today we're tearing down the walls and diving headfirst into the controversial, eye-opening, and undeniably influential world of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Forget the quick summaries you've seen. We are going deep into this critical, must-read financial book, uncovering the psychological shifts, strong mindset, and practical strategies that Kiyosaki claims separate the wealthy from everyone else. We're going to tackle some bombshell ideas. Why Kiyosaki argues your house isn't an asset. Why he famously declared, savers are losers, especially in today's world, and the shocking ways the wealthy seem to legally minimize their taxes while the rest of us feel the squeeze. We'll even explore the almost magical concept of inventing money. This isn't about get-rich-quick schemes. This is about financial education, the kind you desperately need but were never taught. This is about understanding the rules of a game most people don't even know they're playing. By the end of our time together today, you'll have a radically different perspective on work, wealth, and assets. You'll understand the mindset that allows some people to build fortunes while others struggle, and you'll walk away with actionable insights inspired by Rich Dad's teachings. It all begins with a powerful yet simple story Robert Kiyosaki tells, the story of his two dads. One, his biological father, was a highly educated man, a PhD who held a prominent government job, his poor dad. He believed in the traditional path: study hard, get good grades, secure a safe job with benefits. He often said things like, "I'm not interested in money," or the phrase that shuts down possibility, "I can't afford it." He worked incredibly hard his entire life, yet always struggled financially. Then there was his best friend Mike's father, his rich dad. This man never finished the 8th grade, yet he built a business empire and became one of the wealthiest individuals in Hawaii. Rich Dad had a completely different philosophy. He'd say, the lack of money is the root of all evil, and instead of "I can't afford it," he taught the boys to ask, "How can I afford it?" Think about the power in that simple question. "I can't" closes the mind. "How can I?" forces the brain to open up, to seek solutions, to become creative. It transforms a statement of limitation into a question of possibility. This fundamental difference in thinking, Kiyosaki argues, is where the path to wealth begins. It's not about your degree, it's about your mindset. But how did Rich Dad teach these powerful lessons? Not in a classroom. Chapter 1. The Rich Don't Work for Money throws us right into the deep end with 9-year-old Robert's first, and frankly, quite brutal experience. Eager to learn how to get rich, Robert and Mike agree to work for Rich Dad in one of his convenience stores. Their pay, a laughable 10 cents an hour. Imagine doing tedious work, dusting cans, cleaning shelves, for hours, only to receive a few dimes. Naturally, Robert felt exploited, underpaid, and disrespected. He was angry and ready to quit. Haven't we all felt that sting of unfairness in a job? That feeling that our hard work isn't valued? When Robert finally confronts Rich Dad, expecting maybe an apology or a raise, he gets a curveball. Rich Dad wasn't trying to be cheap. He was trying to teach. He wanted Robert to feel that anger, that frustration. He explained that life itself is the best teacher, but it doesn't give lectures. It pushes you. It presents challenges. You can let those pushes defeat you. You can get angry and push back against the wrong target, your boss, your job, your spouse, or you can recognize the push, learn the lesson, and move forward. Most people, Rich Dad explained, are driven by two primary emotions when it comes to money. Fear. Fear of not having enough. Fear of being fired. Fear of bills piling up. And greed or desire. The urge to buy all the wonderful things money can seemingly provide once that paycheck hits. This cycle, get up, go to work, pay bills, get scared, desire more, work harder, spend more, is what Kiyosaki famously calls the rat race. People earn money out of fear of not being able to pay bills, and then they spend money out of desire or greed for more comfort, more fun, more stuff. This cycle repeats until you realize you've spent 20-40 years just running on a treadmill. It's a trap fueled by emotion, not logic. People work harder for more money, thinking more money will solve the problem, but without financial intelligence, it usually just leads to bigger expenses and deeper debt. Rich Dad tested the boys' grasp of this by offering them increasingly insane raises, $1, $2, even $5 an hour. He wanted to see if their desire for the money would overpower their emerging understanding. When they finally resisted, recognizing the game, Rich Dad knew they were learning the first crucial lesson. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. Consider the difference between someone who starts a modest e-commerce site selling custom t-shirts versus someone who takes all their extra time to work overtime at their day job. The t-shirt entrepreneur invests those same hours into building an asset that can eventually earn money passively. Meanwhile, the overtime worker trades more hours for more dollars. But the moment the overtime stops, the money stops. From a psychological standpoint, this fear-greed cycle often leads to impulsive financial decisions. We fear job loss, so we jump at any paycheck, even if it's unfulfilling. We get that bigger check and instantly desire better phones, bigger TVs, pricier dinners. Neuroscientific research shows that when we anticipate a reward, like receiving a paycheck or buying something new, our brain's dopamine centers light up, exactly as they do for gambling or other immediate gratifications. This high fades quickly, pushing us to look for the next quick fix. That's the rat race in a nutshell. To escape the rat race, we need to shift our mindset. 1. Acknowledge that fear and desire drive many of our money decisions. 2. Confront these emotions head-on rather than letting them control you. 3. Challenge yourself to think, how can I own or build something that makes money instead of always working for money? Now that you know how emotions can keep you locked in the rat race, we're going to explore the next critical key to freedom: understanding financial literacy. Why do some people make a ton of money but still end up broke? Chapter 2. Why teach financial literacy? Kiyosaki drives home a point that makes traditional thinkers cringe. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. Think about it. Lottery winners who are broke a year later, professional athletes earning millions who end up bankrupt. They mastered earning, but failed miserably at keeping and growing their money. Why? They lacked financial literacy. Kiyosaki bluntly states, money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. So, what is this crucial literacy? Rich Dad boiled it down to rule number 1. You must know the difference between an asset and a liability and buy assets. Sounds simple, right? Maybe too simple. But this is where most people get tripped up, often confused by conventional definitions or advice from people who might not understand the core principle themselves. Rich Dad didn't rely on dictionary definitions. He used simple pictures and focused on one thing. Which way is the money moving? Here are his bare bones, powerful definitions. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's the core test. Forget what the bank calls an asset on your loan application. Forget depreciation schedules for a moment. Just ask, does this thing generate income for me, or does it cost me money regularly? To visualize this, Kiyosaki uses the simple income statement and balance sheet diagrams. The income statement tracks money in, income, and money out, expenses. The balance sheet shows what you own, assets, and what you owe, liabilities. The magic is in how cash flows between them. For the poor, income comes in from a job and flows immediately out through expenses. Nothing builds the asset side. For the middle class, income comes in, pays expenses, but then also feeds the liabilities, the mortgage, the car payment, the credit card debt. These liabilities constantly drain cash flow away from the possibility of acquiring assets. Now, the rich pattern. They focus on acquiring assets first. Things like income-generating real estate, dividend-paying stocks, businesses they don't have to actively manage, intellectual property. These assets generate income. That income pays their expenses. Crucially, any surplus income is then reinvested to buy more assets. The asset column grows, generating more income, buying more assets. It becomes a powerful, self-perpetuating cycle of wealth creation. This brings us squarely to one of Kiyosaki's most debated points. Your house is not an asset. For most homeowners, he argues, it's their biggest liability. Why? Because it takes money out of your pocket every single month. Mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, upkeep, repairs. It doesn't generate income. Yes, it might appreciate, but that's speculative, not guaranteed, and you only realize that gain minus taxes if you sell. More importantly, the large amount of capital tied up in your house and the ongoing expenses prevent you from using that money to buy actual income-producing assets. Imagine a young couple pouring every spare cent into their dream home. A fantastic opportunity arises to buy a small rental property downtown that cash flows from day one. Can they seize it? Nope. All their capital is locked in the liability they think is their greatest asset. They are trapped. Kiyosaki isn't anti-home ownership. He's anti-financial illiteracy. His advice? Understand the difference. Aim to buy assets first, and let the cash flow from those assets pay for your dream house if you still want it. People often get defensive about calling a home a liability. After all, it's the American dream, right? But the real question is about cash flow. If your home is costing you money, then it's not an income-generating asset. Recognizing this helps you see reality more clearly, rather than letting emotional attachment lead you astray. He also introduces a powerful definition of wealth from R. Buckminster Fuller. Wealth isn't just net worth. It's how long you could survive if you stopped working today. How many days forward can your assets sustain you? When your passive income from assets exceeds your monthly expenses, you are truly wealthy, regardless of your net worth statement. Mastering this language, understanding assets, liabilities, and cash flow is the foundation. But where do you apply this knowledge? You apply it to your business. And no, that doesn't necessarily mean the place you go to work every day. Today, you might see financial literacy taught in small pockets. Some high schools offer it, some organizations put on workshops, but it's nowhere near the standard required to excel financially. And that's a big reason you see entire generations grappling with student loan debt, credit card debt, and the inability to budget effectively. A recent survey showed that many college graduates can't explain compound interest or how credit card interest accumulates. We can identify the entire cast of the latest Netflix show, but we draw a blank when asked, how does your interest rate affect your monthly payment? That's not our fault. It's how we're trained. Entertainment over enlightenment. To move forward, start paying attention to your financial statements. Identify what truly puts money in your pocket, assets, and what takes money away, liabilities. This might feel awkward, like shining a flashlight into a messy garage at night, but it's the first step to reorganizing your financial life. Ever wonder why some people have a job, but quietly on the side, they're building something else, like a mini business or real estate portfolio? Chapter 3. Mind Your Own Business goes deep into why working for someone else doesn't have to be your endgame, and how you can start building your own financial engine right now. Kiyosaki drives home the point. Your profession is not your business. Your profession doctor, teacher, engineer, artist, is how you generate earned income. Your business, according to Rich Dad, is your asset column. Minding your own business means relentlessly focusing on acquiring and building assets that work for you, rather than solely depending on your employer's business for your livelihood. Think about who you work for. First, your employer, making the owners rich. Second, the government. Taxes take a huge chunk before you even see it. Third, the bank, mortgage loans. Most people spend their lives making everyone else rich but themselves. Why? Because they focus on their income statement, getting a bigger paycheck, instead of their asset column. Financial struggle often comes directly from this misplaced focus. Getting a raise feels great, but if that extra money just goes to a bigger car payment or fancier vacations, more expenses and liabilities, you're just spinning the hamster wheel faster. That extra income only builds wealth if it's used to buy income-generating assets. What are these assets again? Kiyosaki lists them. Businesses you own but don't run, stocks, bonds, income-generating real estate, notes you hold, IOUs, intellectual property royalties, and anything else that generates income, appreciates, and has a ready market. He suggests focusing on assets you genuinely love and understand, because you'll be more motivated to manage them well. And here's a critical behavior shift tied to this. The rich buy luxuries last. The poor and middle class often buy the symbols of wealth first: the fancy car, the designer watch, the big house, usually on credit. They look rich, but they're drowning in liabilities. The wealthy build their asset column first. Then, the cash flow generated by those assets pays for the luxuries. When Kiyosaki's wife Kim wanted a Mercedes, they didn't finance it. They waited 4 years until their rental properties generated enough additional passive income to cover the car payment. The asset bought the luxury. That's financial intelligence in action. Buying luxuries on credit creates financial fragility. Many of us pour our best energy and creativity into our full-time job. By the time we get home, we're exhausted. We turn on Netflix, maybe scroll social media, and go to bed. Our potential side business or asset-building venture sits idle day after day, never fully realized. Our brains crave downtime after a day's work. If that downtime always becomes mindless entertainment, we never plant seeds for future income streams. But if we strategically use an hour or two a few nights a week, imperfectly even, those seeds can sprout into real assets over time. Okay, you're focusing on assets. You understand the difference. But how do the rich seem to accelerate this process so much faster? They leverage a powerful structure that minimizes their biggest expense: taxes. Chapter 4 delves into the history of taxes and the power of corporations. This is where Kiyosaki explains the biggest secret of the rich. He challenges the popular tax the rich Robin Hood narrative, arguing it's precisely this sentiment that led to the middle class bearing the heaviest tax burden. Historically, income taxes were sold to the masses as a way to punish the wealthy. But governments quickly developed an insatiable appetite for revenue, and the tax burden inevitably expanded downwards. The rich, however, didn't just sit back and pay more. They reacted. They used their knowledge, money, and influence to find ways to legally minimize their tax burden. Their primary tool? The corporation. A corporation, Kiyosaki emphasizes, isn't a building. It's a legal entity, separate from the individual. This legal structure offers immense advantages, particularly in how income and expenses are treated for tax purposes. One major difference between the rich and everyone else, according to Kiyosaki, is that the rich understand corporate structures. While employees earn money, get taxed, and then try to live on what's left, owners of corporations get to use pre-tax income for expenses, meaning they're taxed on profits, not gross revenue, legally. This is a game changer. You might have heard the phrase, "the rich pay less in taxes." That's not always about corruption or shady dealings. Very often it's about using the tax code the way it was intended for businesses, to encourage investment, growth, and job creation. Those who fail to understand that and remain personal income earners often pay the highest rates. Think about that. A corporation can pay for things like travel, cars, insurance, meals, and other business-related expenses with pre-tax dollars. An employee earns money, gets taxed heavily first, and then tries to pay for those same things with what remains. It's a fundamentally different and less advantageous position. Furthermore, corporations offer legal protection. Assets held within a corporation are generally shielded from personal lawsuits against the owner. The wealthy often structure their affairs so they control everything through corporations and trusts, but personally own very little, protecting their wealth. The average person owns assets in their own name, leaving them exposed. Kiyosaki isn't advocating for tax evasion. He's advocating for financial education. Understanding the tax code, like his rich dad did, allows you to play the game smarter. He paid accountants and attorneys well, because using the legal advantages of incorporation was far cheaper than paying unnecessary taxes. The core message? The system is set up with rules. If you don't learn the rules the wealthy use, like incorporating to hold your assets, you'll inevitably end up paying more than you need to, working harder for the government and banks than for yourself. Knowledge of these structures gives you power and control over your financial destiny. This is powerful stuff. Understanding assets, minding your business, leveraging corporations. But Kiyosaki takes it one step further. What if you could bypass the slow accumulation altogether and actually create money? Chapter 5. The rich invent money, pushes the boundaries. The core idea here is that opportunity is everywhere. The rich don't just wait for money to appear. They create or invent it by spotting opportunities where others see nothing. It might be a piece of real estate nobody wants, which the rich buyer sees as potential, or a business that's losing steam, which the rich buyer realizes can be turned around with the right strategy. Kiyosaki contrasts the story of Alexander Graham Bell, unable to sell his world-changing invention for $100K, with a modern news story of a laid-off manager terrified of losing his house. The difference, he suggests, isn't just intelligence, but boldness and the ability to see opportunity where others see risk. He argues that our greatest barrier is internal, fear and self-doubt. These emotions cripple our innate financial genius. Success requires both technical knowledge and courage. We live in the information age, where wealth is created from ideas and information, moving at lightning speed. Fortunes are made seemingly from nothing. Think tech startups. This is why developing your financial IQ is paramount. It's not just about knowledge, it's about having the courage to act on that knowledge, to see opportunity in chaos, to take calculated risks. Too many people see these opportunities but are afraid to jump in. Fear of losing, fear of looking stupid, fear of risk. Kiyosaki addresses that fear is normal, but you have to manage it, not be controlled by it. Start small, educate yourself, and partner with experienced mentors. Cash flow board game as an example. It's designed to reveal players' behaviors and thinking patterns around money. Some freeze when they get a good opportunity but lack cash. Some complain the right opportunities never come. Others get a great opportunity card but don't even recognize it because it doesn't fit their limited financial plan. These are all real-world behaviors. Financial intelligence, therefore, is about having more options and being creative in solving problems. If opportunity knocks and the bank says no, how else can you raise the money? If a deal goes sour, how can you turn that lemon into lemonade, maybe even millions? That's financial intelligence. Most people know only one solution: work hard, save, borrow. The truly financially intelligent create their own luck. They understand that money isn't entirely real. It's largely an idea, an agreement. And because it's an idea, it can be created or invented. How? Kiyosaki gives his famous Phoenix real estate example from the early 90s downturn. Houses were cheap. He found a $75,000 house available for potentially $20,000 via a bankruptcy attorney. He put down $2,000, borrowed from a friend for 90 days at $200 interest, to tie up the property. While the deal was processed, he advertised the $75,000 house for $60,000 with no money down. Demand was huge. As soon as he legally owned it, he showed it to screened buyers. It sold instantly. He collected a $2,500 processing fee from the buyer. He paid back his friend $2,200. The buyer gave him a promissory note, an IOU, for the remaining purchase price, around $50,700. The result? In about 5 hours of work, with virtually no money of his own in the deal long term, he created a $50,700 asset, the note, generating 10% interest income, plus pocketed around $300 cash. That $50,700 was essentially invented through market knowledge, negotiation skill, understanding financing beyond banks, and the boldness to act when others were scared. This leads to his definition of two investor types. 1. The packaged investor buys retail investments, stocks, funds from a broker. 2. The creative investor assembles deals, finds opportunities, raises capital, and organizes smart people. This is the professional investor Rich Dad encouraged him to become. Becoming this second type requires mastering those three key skills: finding the opportunity everyone else missed, raising the money, and organizing smart people. It's not gambling if you know what you're doing. It's gambling if you throw money at a deal and pray. Financial intelligence improves your odds. Be on the lookout for undervalued or overlooked opportunities, whether in real estate, stocks, small businesses, or even new technologies. Don't dismiss them just because you haven't learned about them yet. Embrace the potential to create value. This ability to invent money by creating value, to see and structure deals others can't, is the pinnacle of financial intelligence. It requires moving beyond fear and embracing creative problem solving. But what specific skills underpin this ability? Chapter 6. Work to learn, don't work for money. This chapter isn't just about what you learn, but the purpose behind the learning. Remember the journalist who refused to learn sales? She was trapped by specialization. Kiyosaki argues that hyper-specialization, while potentially leading to higher pay in a specific field, creates vulnerability. If that field changes, your skills might become obsolete. Rich Dad advised knowing a little about a lot. Think about Kiyosaki's career choices. Merchant Marines for international trade knowledge, Marine Corps for leadership, Xerox for sales skills. Each step wasn't just about the job. It was about acquiring a crucial skill for his ultimate goal of being an entrepreneur and investor. Job security was poor dad's focus. Learning was rich dad's. When considering a job, especially early on, ask, what will I learn here? More than, what will I earn here? The skills acquired will pay far greater dividends long-term than a slightly higher starting salary. What are the most critical skills? Beyond the technical financial IQ, accounting, investing, markets, law, Kiyosaki emphasizes sales and marketing. Why? Because everything involves selling. Selling a product, selling an idea, selling yourself. Communication skills, writing, speaking, negotiating, are fundamental to success in any field. Overcoming the fear of rejection associated with selling is transformative. He also points back to the McDonald's example. They don't have the best hamburger, but they have the best business systems for selling and delivering an average hamburger. Success often hinges more on the system than the product itself. The key management skills needed are: 1. Management of cash flow. 2. Management of systems, including yourself and family time. 3. Management of people. Often people avoid starting from scratch or taking a step down because of pride. They worry about what friends and family might think. This is that ego stepping in. Kiyosaki's advice: Don't let your ego kill your chance to learn. Embrace being a beginner in a new field, if it means you'll acquire skills that pay off exponentially later. Picture a person with a big fancy job title, like Vice President of boring paperwork, who can't fathom taking a lesser title at a dynamic startup. Yet the startup is where they'd learn real marketing or real tech innovation. Instead, the VP of boring paperwork stays stuck, bored, and ironically unprepared for the future economy that's shifting faster than we can say, blockchain. Sometimes it's better to downgrade your title and upgrade your skill set. Finally, the principle of giving. Rich Dad believed in give and you shall receive, tithing, and being charitable even when finances were tight. Poor Dad waited until he had extra, which rarely happened. Kiyosaki believes this principle of generosity is key to wealth. So, don't just work for money, work to learn, acquire skills, especially in communication, sales, marketing, and leadership. Understand systems, practice giving. These build a foundation for lasting wealth far beyond what a specialized job alone can provide. But knowing all this, what stops people? The mental and emotional barriers that hold most people back. Chapter 7 is called Overcoming Obstacles. If you've ever felt paralyzed by doubt or fear, or wondered why you sabotage your own success, you're going to love this one. Let's quickly recap the 5 obstacles Kiyosaki identifies. 1. Fear. Managed by understanding failure is part of winning, focusing, and not playing too safe. 2. Cynicism. Managed by analyzing instead of criticizing, filtering noise, and recognizing opportunity in downturns. Don't let "I don't want to fix toilets" stop you from investing in real estate. Analyze how to solve the problem. Hire a manager. 3. Laziness. Managed by asking, "What's in it for me?" a little greed desire, and replacing "I can't afford it" with "How can I afford it?" 4. Bad habits. Managed by prioritizing, pay yourself first. Build the asset column before expenses, using creditor pressure as motivation. 5. Arrogance. Managed by staying humble and educating yourself when you encounter ignorance, your own or others. Arrogance masks ignorance and prevents learning. When we assume we already know it all, we stop learning. This can be a silent killer of personal and financial growth. Fear of failing or losing is normal. But as Kiyosaki notes, what differentiates wealthy individuals is that they fail forward. They treat mistakes as lessons, while the average person might treat them as proof they should quit. This resonates with the concept of growth mindset again, the willingness to fail, learn, and adapt. Cynics might say, real estate? That market's going to crash. Starting a business? Don't 9 out of 10 startups fail? Investing? Haven't you seen the economy? Kiyosaki suggests you do your own research and trust your own analysis, not the mainstream fear narrative. Many folks say, "I'm just too busy to learn investing or start a side business." Kiyosaki challenges that. Often, we fill our time with tasks that avoid confronting the scary reality of having to learn something new. If we're honest, we can usually find pockets of time. If you've been binge-watching entire seasons of a show in one weekend, you might have time to read a real estate guide or watch an online course on e-commerce. Pick one obstacle that resonates with you: fear, cynicism, busyness, bad habits, or arrogance, and tackle it this week. Maybe you set aside 10% of your paycheck before bills, or you spend 2 hours learning a new skill, or you call a mentor to ask for guidance. Overcoming obstacles is about daily, consistent actions that break old patterns. You've seen the biggest mental and emotional blocks. Next question: where to start? How do we go from an idea to real wealth-building action? Chapter 8. Getting started is your roadmap. Kiyosaki emphasizes that knowledge means little without implementation. So if you've come this far, you're brimming with insights. But that doesn't automatically change your bank account. You have to put these ideas into motion. To build lasting financial discipline and momentum, here are 3 practical tips you can start applying today. 1. Find a reason greater than your current reality. Having a powerful why can carry you through the difficult moments, whether it's the desire to retire your parents, send your children to college debt-free, or explore the world on your own terms. 2. Make the right choices daily. Every day presents financial decisions. Will you spend $5 on a fancy coffee or invest it in a fractional share of a stock? Will your weekend be spent partying or researching potential rental properties online? 3. Surround yourself with allies and actively seek mentors. The people you associate with greatly influence your mindset and progress. Joining a local real estate club, participating in online entrepreneurial communities, or simply spending time with ambitious, supportive friends can make all the difference. If your circle only complains about their jobs, chances are you will too. But if they're striving for growth, you're more likely to follow suit. I dare you. Try swapping 1 hour of Netflix a night for 1 hour of learning about a new asset class, crypto, real estate, dividend stocks, e-commerce. If that idea makes you groan, perfect. That means your comfort zone is being challenged. Embrace it. Kiyosaki consistently reminds us that action trumps theory. Don't be the person who reads about success but never tries anything. Start small, but start. Robert Kiyosaki finally provides an actionable approach to financial growth, offering clear to-dos that can guide us forward step by step. Think of it as a personal checklist for your financial journey, designed to help you break free from ineffective habits and adopt ones that actually move the needle. If what you're doing isn't working, stop. It sounds simple, but many people continue down the same path, hoping for different results. Instead, be willing to pivot. Seek out new ideas, read books, attend seminars, or watch videos like this one. The goal is to keep feeding your mind with perspectives and strategies that challenge your current thinking. And just as importantly, focus on your mindset. A strong mental attitude can be the difference between giving up after a failure and using it as fuel to push forward. He also emphasizes the power of mentorship. Having someone who's already walked the path you want to take can accelerate your growth and help you avoid costly mistakes. Kiyosaki's philosophy centers on the idea that financial education never stops, not even after you make it. The world of money is always shifting. Think about how the 2008 financial crisis reshaped real estate and banking, or how influencer marketing emerged from the rise of social media. If you're not constantly updating your knowledge, you risk falling behind. The most successful people are lifelong students, always looking for new ways to adapt and grow. To bring these principles into modern life, the book offers practical suggestions that anyone can apply. For instance, make it a habit to consume high-quality content. Allocate time each week to read investment books or study real deals happening in the market. Start small with your own investments. Buy a single share of stock or evaluate one rental property. These small steps help you learn the ropes without taking on excessive risk. And don't underestimate the power of networking. Join local meetups, virtual communities, or discussion forums to exchange ideas, stay motivated, and discover new opportunities. Kiyosaki also reinforces the power of the compound effect. Small daily improvements compound over time, just like money does. If you improve your financial literacy by just 1% every day, reading a few pages, analyzing a new concept, you'll be amazed at how much you know and can do after a few months or a year. If you're waiting for a magical fairy to wave a wand, deposit millions into your bank, and hand you a golden ticket to freedom. Sorry, that's not in the game plan. But the good news is, you are the fairy godmother of your own finances if you choose to be. So do something now. Don't overthink it to the point of paralysis. If you keep reading but never acting, you'll end up exactly where you started. Mastering these internal barriers is crucial, which brings us to the concrete steps you can take now we've covered a lot of ground: mindset shifts, financial literacy, business focus, tax strategies, inventing money, skill acquisition, and overcoming obstacles. Now, let's crystallize this into actionable steps you can start today. First, find your deepest why. What truly drives you? What pain do you want to avoid? What pleasure do you desperately want to attain? Write down your wants and don't wants. Make them emotional, powerful. This fuel will get you through the inevitable challenges. Without it, the rest is just theory. Second, choose financial education daily. Your mind is your greatest asset. What are you feeding it? Commit to reading business books, listening to financial podcasts or audiobooks, and attending seminars, even free online ones. Make learning about money a daily choice, replacing maybe 30 minutes of TV or social media scrolling. Keep your mind open. Third, audit your circle. Who are you spending time with? Are they lifting you up, sharing knowledge, talking about opportunities? Or are they chicken littles, full of fear and doubt? Consciously seek out mentors and friends who are knowledgeable and successful in areas you want to grow in. Offer value. Take them to lunch. Ask insightful questions. Learn from everyone, but be selective about whose advice shapes your actions. Fourth, master one formula, then expand. Don't try to do everything at once. Pick one investment strategy that resonates: real estate rentals, tax liens, dividend stocks, or starting a small online business. Learn it inside out. Take action and apply it until you understand it deeply. Then, look for the next formula. Learn fast, apply faster. Fifth, implement, pay yourself first. Now. This is non-negotiable. Automate it if possible. Before any bills get paid, allocate a percentage, even if tiny to start, of your income directly to an investment savings account, earmarked only for building your asset column. Feel the pressure? Good. Use it to find ways to increase income, not to raid your future. Sixth, build your personal board of directors. Identify the key advisors you need: a good accountant familiar with investors, possibly a knowledgeable broker, maybe a lawyer specializing in corporations. Interview them. Find professionals who are successful investors themselves and pay them well for their expertise. Their advice should make you money. Seventh, hunt for deals and make offers. Actively look for opportunities. Jog different neighborhoods, research markets, talk to people. When you find something potentially interesting, make offers. Don't be afraid of lowballing or rejection. Use escape clauses, subject to partner's approval, your cat. Remember, profit is made when you buy, not when you sell. Action beats inaction every single time. Eighth, turn consumption into investment fuel. That desire for a nicer car, a vacation, a new gadget. Don't just suppress it or borrow for it. Ask, how can my assets buy this for me? Use that desire as motivation to build an asset that generates the cash flow needed. Focus on the asset column first. Ninth, find your heroes. Who inspires you in the world of finance and business? Study them intensely. Read their biographies, understand their mindset, and analyze their deals. When facing a challenge, ask, how would your hero handle this? Emulate their confidence and thinking. 10th, teach what you learn. The fastest way to solidify your own understanding is to explain it to someone else. Share your financial journey and insights with your partner, kids, or friends, the receptive ones. The act of teaching forces clarity and often brings new insights. Give your knowledge freely. So, we've journeyed through the core lessons of Rich Dad, Poor Dad: escaping the rat race, understanding assets versus liabilities, minding your own business, leveraging taxes and corporations, inventing money, working to learn, and overcoming obstacles. What's the thread connecting all of this? It's financial intelligence. It's moving beyond the simplistic work hard and save mantra we're often fed. It's realizing that true wealth comes not just from earning, but from understanding how money works and making it work for you. It requires questioning assumptions. Is your house truly an asset? Is job security the ultimate goal? Are taxes an unavoidable evil, or a system with rules you can learn? It demands courage, the courage to think differently, to take calculated risks, to learn from failure, and to act when others are paralyzed by fear. Think about the life you truly want, the sense of security, the ability to help your loved ones, the excitement of creating something meaningful, the freedom to choose your schedule, your location, your projects. All that becomes possible when you shift your mindset about money from, "Oh, I hope I get a raise," to, "I'm building assets. I decided my value." Imagine, just 1 year from now, looking back. What if you implemented just one of these principles consistently? Maybe you started paying yourself first, even a small amount. Maybe you dedicated 30 minutes a day to financial education. Maybe you made your first small investment, learning invaluable lessons along the way. Where could that single, consistent action take you? The power of compounding applies not just to money, but to knowledge and habits as well. Robert Kiyosaki's message is ultimately one of empowerment. You have the tools, your mind and your time. You have the choice, every single day, with every single dollar. Choose to learn. Choose to act. Choose to build your asset column. Choose financial freedom. Our brains can form new neural pathways well into adulthood, meaning it's never too late to learn new financial skills or change our money habits. Research from Stanford and MIT on habit loops suggests that small, consistent changes can lead to profound long-term transformation. For instance, if you decide to invest a set amount automatically each payday, you form a habit that sets you on a growth trajectory without relying on willpower alone. What was the most challenging or eye-opening idea from Rich Dad Poor Dad for you? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're ready to continue your journey to financial intelligence, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because we've got more game-changing insights coming your way. Thank you for investing your time with me today. Now go take action. Go build that future. I'll see you in the next video.